The stars looked different from the bridge of the asterisk horizon asterisk. Captain Jun Kim stood with his hands behind his back, watching the strange ship approach. It was the year 2157, and humanity was about to meet aliens for the first time. "They're hailing us, Captain," said his communications officer. Jun took a deep breath. "Put them on screen." The face that appeared wasn't what anyone expected. The alien had smooth purple skin with small ridges where eyebrows would be on a human. Its eyes were large and completely black. "I am Ambassador Toral of the Nerin Collective," the alien said through the translator. "We have been observing your world for some time." Jun bowed slightly. "I am Captain Jun Kim of Earth's United Space Command. We welcome you in peace." The alien's face showed no emotion. How curious. A primate species that has learned to use tools and speak. "We have seen many like you across the stars." Jun felt his smile freeze. "We are a young spacefaring civilization, but we have much to offer in friendship." Ambassador Toral tilted his head. "You misunderstand. We do not form friendships with animals. Your species is barely past using sticks to gather food. The fact that you can operate spacecraft is amusing to us." Across the room, Jun's crew looked at each other with worry. This was not how they imagined first contact would go. At the same time, on Earth in the mountains of South Korea, Hana Park didn't know aliens had arrived. She was focused on the large tiger pacing in its enclosure. "Easy, Buck," she said softly. "It's just breakfast time." The Siberian tiger was huge. His orange and black striped coat gleamed in the morning sun. 3 years ago, Hana had found him as a tiny cub, alone and hurt. Now he was nearly full grown. Hana slid the meat through a small door into Buck's enclosure. Most tigers would rush for the food, but Bake waited until Hana stepped back. Only then did he approach his meal. He looked at Hana as he ate, his golden eyes watching her. "Good boy," she said. "Soon you'll be ready to go back to the wild." But she wasn't sure if that was true. Most tigers she raised would grow distant as they got older. Their wild nature would take over. But Bake was different. He still acted like they were connected, like he remembered her raising him from a cub. Hana's phone rang. It was her friend Ta, who worked for the government. "Hana, are you watching the news?" Ta's voice sounded excited and scared. "No, I'm with the tigers." "What's happening?" "Aliens, Hana. Real aliens have come to Earth. They're called the Nerin. They've landed ships around the world. One just landed near Seoul." Hana nearly dropped her phone. "Are they friendly?" There was a pause. "That's the strange part. They're not hostile, but they're not friendly either. They're acting like we're beneath them, like we're just animals to them." Hana looked at Bake, who had finished his meal and was watching her curiously. "That's ridiculous," she said. "How advanced can they be if they judge an entire world so quickly?" In orbit around Earth, Captain Jun was trying to maintain his composure. The meeting with the Nerin leaders had gone poorly. They spoke about humans as if they were talking about clever pets. "We will establish an outpost on your moon," the Nerin commander told him. "We find your species interesting enough to study. Perhaps in a few hundred years, you'll evolve enough for real conversation." Jun clenched his fists. "With all respect, we are not animals. We have art, music, literature. We care for our world and each other." The commander waved his hand dismissively. "Many species make noises and create primitive tools. That doesn't make you sentient by galactic standards." As Jun left the meeting, he knew humanity faced a challenge like never before. The Nerin didn't want to destroy humans. That might have been easier to fight against. No, they wanted to study humans like animals in a zoo. On Earth below, unaware of these developments, Hana Park sat beside Bak's enclosure, reading a book as the tiger dozed nearby. Neither of them knew that their quiet life was about to change forever. 6 months had passed since the Nerin arrived. Their ships hovered above major cities, silent and watching. They rarely spoke to humans. When they did, Their words were simple, as if talking to children. Hana Park's tiger sanctuary had changed little. She still woke before dawn to feed her tigers. She still worked with Bake every day. But now, the world outside felt different. "The aliens want our water and metals," said Ta during his weekly visit. He worked for the government now, helping deal with the Nerin. "They think our planet has good resources." "What about us?" asked Hana. Ta looked down. "They think we're just in the way. Not worth talking to." The Nerin High Command has ordered something called an assessment. They're sending officers to study Earth's animals, including humans. Hana frowned. "They're wrong about us. Try telling them that," Ta said with a sad laugh. 3 days later, a small silver ship landed near Hana's sanctuary. A tall, purple-skinned alien stepped out. She wore a tight uniform with many small devices attached to it. Her black eyes seemed to take in everything at once. "This is Earth Assessment Officer Ji-Soo," said the translator at her belt. "I am here to catalog the predator species at this location." Hana bowed slightly. "I'm Hana Park. Welcome to my tiger sanctuary." Ji-Soo looked at her data tablet. "You are the human who raises tigers. Explain this practice." "I help injured tigers and orphaned cubs," said Hana. "I raise them until they can return to the wild." The alien titled her head. "You intentionally strengthen predators that could kill you. This is not logical." Hana smiled. "They're endangered. There aren't many left. We have a duty to protect all species, even dangerous ones." Ji-Soo made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Your species can barely protect itself, yet you worry about other animals. Fascinating but primitive thinking." Ji-Soo followed Hana through the sanctuary. She recorded everything with her devices. When they reached Vak's enclosure, the tiger was lying in the sun. "This is Bake," said Hana. "I've raised him since he was a cub." Bake stood up when he saw Hana. He was bigger than Ji-Soo expected. His muscles moved under his striped coat as he walked to the fence. He made a sound that was not quite a roar, but more than a purr. "Stay back," said Ji-Soo, touching a device on her belt. "It will attack." "No, he won't," said Hana calmly. She opened a small door and stepped into the enclosure. Ji-Soo's eyes widened. "Stop. You're entering an apex predator's territory without protection." But Hana was already inside. Buck walked to her and rubbed his massive head against her leg, like a house cat might do. Hana scratched behind his ears. "How are you controlling it?" asked Ji-Soo. "Do you have implants? Hidden technology?" Hana shook her head. "No technology. Just trust and respect. I raised him. We understand each other." Ji-Soo stepped closer to the fence, studying them. "Impossible. A predator this size would see you as food." "He knows I'm not food," said Hana. "I'm family." That night, Ji-Soo sat in her ship, reviewing the day's data. The relationship between the human and the tiger didn't make sense according to Nerin science. Predators didn't form bonds with prey species. It was against natural law. She sent a message to the Nerin High Command. "Request extended study of human-tiger interactions. Anomalies detected in predator behavior may indicate unknown communication methods." The reply came quickly. "Request approved. Determine if findings affect resource planet classification." Remember, Officer Ji-Soo, these are animals with tools, nothing more. Do not be misled by their imitation of sentient behavior. Ji-Soo looked out her window at the sanctuary. In the distance, she could see Hana walking between enclosures for a final check on her tigers. "Animals with tools," Ji-Soo repeated to herself. But something about what she had seen today didn't fit that simple explanation. In his enclosure, Bake watched the alien ship with unblinking eyes, his tail swishing slowly back and forth. Ji-Soo had been at the sanctuary for 3 days. She followed Hana everywhere, asking many questions and recording everything. The tigers were now used to seeing the purple-skinned alien. "Why do you spend so much time with these animals?" Ji-Soo asked as they walked between enclosures. Because they need help, said Hana. And because I love them. Jisoo checked her translator. Love? This word means strong attachment. You have strong attachment to dangerous predators. Yes, Hana smiled. Is that strange to you? The Naren do not form attachments to other species, said Jisoo. It is not logical. Their talk was cut short by loud shouting. One of Hana's workers ran toward them, his face pale with fear. Hana, come quick. Tahoe escaped his enclosure. Hana's smile dropped. Where is he now? Near the food storage building. The door was left open. Jisoo checked her data. Tahoe is the 2-year-old male tiger. Weight, 250 kilograms. Aggression level, high. Hana was already running toward the storage building. Jisoo followed, touching the protection device on her belt to make sure it was working. They found 5 workers standing far from the building. Inside, they could see the young tiger Tahoe. He was tearing open bags of food, growling as he ate. Everyone stay back, ordered Hana. Jisoo, you too. You cannot approach, said Jisoo. I have data on tiger attacks. You will be killed. Hana ignored her. She walked slowly toward the building, keeping her body relaxed. She spoke in a soft, even voice. Tahoe, it's me. It's okay. You're not in trouble. The tiger looked up, his mouth full of food. He growled, showing his teeth. Jisoo raised her hand, ready to use her weapon. But Hana kept walking forward, talking to the tiger as if he were a person. I know you were hungry. It's okay, but this isn't your space. Let's go back to your home. Tahoe stopped eating. His ears moved forward, listening to Hana's voice. He made a low sound in his throat. That's right, said Hana. You know me. I'm not a threat to you. She was now just 5 steps from the tiger. Jisoo could not believe what she was seeing. By all Naren science, the human should be dead by now. Hana slowly reached into her pocket and took out a small cloth. She held it out. The tiger sniffed the air, then moved closer to her, his eyes never leaving her face. Good boy, said Hana. Remember this smell. It's from when you were a cub. It helps you feel safe. The tiger sniffed the cloth. Then, to Jisoo's shock, he rubbed his head against Hana's hand, just like a pet might do. Carefully, Hana attached a lead to the tiger's collar. She began to walk him out of the building, talking softly the whole time. The huge predator followed her like a trained animal. Later, when Tahoe was safely back in his enclosure, Jisoo found Hana washing her hands. How did you control him without technology? Jisoo asked. Where are your neural implants or psionic dampeners? Hana dried her hands. I don't have any of those things, and I don't control Tahoe. But he obeyed you. A wild predator obeyed you. I didn't give commands, explained Hana. I reminded him of our connection. I showed him I wasn't afraid, that I understood his feelings. That's not control. That's communication. Jisoo's black eyes blinked several times. Communication with a non-sentient species. Just because they don't talk like we do doesn't mean they're not intelligent, said Hana. Tigers understand more than you think. Jisoo was quiet for a long time. Then she said, the Naren believe only technology can bridge the gap between species. Maybe that's why you think we're just animals, said Hana. You've forgotten how to connect without machines. That night, Jisoo sent a new message to her leaders. Human-tiger communication more complex than initially assessed. Recommend comprehensive study of human empathic abilities. Possible implications for Naren evolutionary theory. The response was not what she expected. Reminder, humans are classified as pre-sentient tool users. Do not anthropomorphize their instinctive behaviors. Complete your assessment in 3 days. Jisoo looked out at the sanctuary, where Hana was sitting peacefully beside Baek's enclosure, reading a book while the tiger watched over her. 2 weeks had passed since Jisoo came to the sanctuary. She no longer just watched Hana. Now she helped with small tasks like preparing food for the tigers and cleaning equipment. "Why do you hand-feed the tiger cubs?" Jisoo asked one morning. They were in the nursery where 3 small cubs played on the floor. "They need to trust me," said Hana. "But they also need to learn I am not their mother. It's a careful balance." Jisoo sat on the floor beside Hana. A small cub with bright orange fur crawled into her lap. Jisoo froze. "It's okay," said Hana with a smile. "She likes you." Jisoo carefully touched the cub's head. Its fur was softer than she expected. The cub made a small sound and closed its eyes. "On Naren worlds, we would never touch wild animals," said Jisoo. "It is considered dangerous and primitive." "How do you learn about them then?" asked Hana. "We study them with machines. We take samples. We observe from a distance." Hana shook her head. "You can't truly understand a living thing without connecting with it." Later that day, Jisoo watched as Hana treated a cut on an adult tiger's paw. The tiger lay still, only twitching its tail as Hana cleaned the wound. "I don't understand," said Jisoo. "By all our science, this should be impossible. Predators don't allow prey near them when they are hurt." "I'm not prey to him," said Hana. "He knows I'm helping." That night, Jisoo saw something even more surprising. Hana checked on a mother tiger who had given birth the week before. The mother tiger actually moved aside to let Hana touch her cubs. "She trusts you with her babies," said Jisoo in wonder. "Yes," said Hana, "and I honor that trust. That's the most important thing." In her ship, Jisoo received a new message from the Naren High Command. She read it twice, her hands shaking slightly. "Earth has been classified as a resource planet. Human relocation to begin in 6 months. Prepare final assessment report." Resource planet. Jisoo knew what that meant. The Naren would take Earth's resources. Humans would be moved to small areas called preserves. Many would not survive the move. For the first time in her life, Jisoo felt something was wrong with Naren ways. The next day, Hana took Jisoo to see Bak's training. They walked together to a large open area behind the enclosures. "What do you train him to do?" asked Jisoo. "I don't train him to do tricks," said Hana. "I train him to be himself, but safely. He needs to know his own strength. He needs to understand boundaries." Bake entered the training area. He was even bigger than Jisoo remembered. His muscles moved smoothly under his striped coat as he walked to Hana. Hana had no weapons, no protection. She carried only a long stick with a soft end. She used it to point and guide Buck through different movements. "Why does he follow your directions?" asked Jisoo. "What does he gain from this?" "Connection," said Hana. "Tigers are not loners like many think. They need relationships, understanding. Buck works with me because we understand each other." Jisoo watched as Buck climbed on platforms, jumped over barriers, and followed Hana's soft commands. It wasn't control. It was a dance between 2 different species who trusted each other. "In all my studies across 12 worlds," said Jisoo, "I have never seen anything like this." Hana smiled. "That's sad." "Sad? Why?" "Because it means your people have forgotten how to connect with other living things." After the training, Bake lay down near Hana. She sat beside him, her hand resting on his back. The huge tiger, who could kill her with one bite, purred like a house cat. Jisoo took out her data tablet and erased her report. She started a new one, writing, "Human-tiger bond suggests advanced interspecies communication, previously unknown to Naren science. Recommendation: full reclassification of human intelligence needed." She knew her leaders would not like this report, but after what she had seen, she could not write anything else. Dark clouds filled the sky as Hana and Jisoo drove to the far edge of the sanctuary. They were taking Bak to a larger training area in the mountains. The tiger rode in a transport cage in the back of the truck. "Storm's coming," said Hana, looking at the sky. "We should be quick today." Jisoo checked her devices. My weather scanner shows unusual magnetic activity. It might affect some of my equipment. Hannah parked the truck at the base of a small mountain. The training area was a fenced space about the size of 2 football fields. As they prepared to move Buck to the training area, Jisoo's communicator made a strange noise and went dark. "That's odd," she said, tapping it. "It's not working." Hannah opened the cage door, and Bake stepped out calmly. He stretched his big body and looked around at the trees and rocks. "All my devices are failing," said Jisoo with worry in her voice, "including my protection field." "You don't need protection here," said Hannah. "Bach won't hurt you." Jisoo didn't look convinced. "My people rely on technology for safety. Without it, I feel vulnerable," Hannah suggested, "like humans feel all the time." Before Jisoo could answer, they heard the sound of an engine. A dirty truck came up the road and stopped nearby. 3 men got out. They carried guns. "Poachers," whispered Hannah, her face going pale. "They hunt tigers for their skin and bones. They sell them for a lot of money." Jisoo reached for her weapon, but it was dead like all her other devices. "My stunner isn't working. Can we call for help?" Hannah checked her phone. No signal. The storm must be blocking it. The men hadn't seen them yet. They were checking their own guns and talking loudly. "I saw a tiger brought up here," one man said. "Big one too. Worth a lot." "We need to get Buck back in the cage," said Hannah. She turned to look for the tiger, but he was gone. "Oh no, he's exploring the area." "What do we do?" asked Jisoo. Her black eyes were wide with fear. Without her technology, she felt helpless. "We need to find Buck before they do," said Hannah. "Follow me and stay quiet." They moved through the trees, looking for Buck. The poachers were spreading out, also searching. "I've never been in danger without my devices," whispered Jisoo. "Naren are not physical fighters. We use our minds and our technology." "Well, right now we need to use our wits," said Hannah. "Look, there's Buck." The tiger was drinking from a small stream. Hannah moved slowly toward him, making a soft clicking sound with her tongue. Bake looked up, his ears moving toward the sound. Suddenly, one of the poachers appeared on the other side of the stream. He saw Buck and raised his gun. "Run," Hannah shouted to Jisoo. Everything happened very fast. The poacher fired his gun, but the shot hit a tree. Buck let out a roar that shook the air. The poacher turned and ran. "This way," said Hannah, pulling Jisoo toward a rocky area. "There are caves where we can hide." They ran, hearing the shouts of the poachers behind them. Jisoo was not used to running. She stumbled on the rough ground. "I can't keep up," she gasped. "You have to," said Hannah. "Those men will kill us if they find us. They can't leave witnesses." They reached the caves just as rain began to fall. The poachers' voices were getting closer. "In here," said Hannah, pointing to a narrow opening between 2 large rocks. They squeezed inside. The cave was small but dry. They sat in darkness, listening to the rain and the distant voices of the men. "I've never felt so powerless," whispered Jisoo. "Is this how humans feel all the time? So fragile and exposed?" "Yes," said Hannah, "but we learn to be strong in other ways." A low growl came from the back of the cave. Jisoo froze in terror. 2 golden eyes glowed in the darkness. "Back." Hannah called softly, "Is that you?" The tiger moved forward, his wet fur shining. He had found the cave before them. "He followed us," said Hannah with wonder in her voice. "He's protecting us." Jisoo watched as the massive predator lay down at the mouth of the cave, his eyes fixed on the forest outside, guarding them against the men who hunted them all. Rain poured outside the cave. Hannah and Jisoo sat in the darkness, listening to the storm. Bak remained at the cave entrance, his body blocking the way. The tiger's ears moved at every sound from the forest. "The poachers will wait for the rain to stop," whispered Hannah. "We're safe for now." Jisoo hugged her knees to her chest. I never thought I would depend on an Earth predator for protection. Ironic, isn't it? Hannah smiled in the darkness. The animal is protecting the advanced aliens. They were quiet for a while, listening to the rain and Bak's steady breathing. Why? Jisoo finally asked. Why does he protect you? It doesn't make sense by any scientific rule I know. Hannah reached out and stroked Bak's wet fur. The tiger did not move, his eyes still watching the forest. When I found Bak, he was just a tiny cub. His mother had been killed by poachers. He was alone, scared, and starving. Hannah's voice was soft. I fed him from a bottle. I slept beside him when he had nightmares. I taught him how to be strong. You raised him like your own child, said Jisoo. Yes, and he knows that. Tigers are smart. They remember kindness. They understand love. Jisoo was quiet again, thinking. Then she said something that surprised Hannah. My leaders have classified Earth as a resource planet. Do you know what that means? Hannah's hand stopped moving on Bak's fur. No. What does it mean? It means the Nurin will take Earth's resources, waters, metals, plants, everything useful, and humans will be moved to small areas called preserves. Hannah's face grew pale in the dim light, like animal reserves. Yes, many humans will not survive the move. Your cultures will die. Your cities will be destroyed. Jisoo's voice was flat. That is Nurin way. We have done this on 12 other worlds. That's horrible, whispered Hannah. How can you do that? Because we see other species as resources, not equals. Jisoo looked at Bak. Just as humans once hunted tigers for their fur and bones, we harvest worlds for their resources. But that's wrong, said Hannah. We've learned that now. Most humans protect tigers today. And that is what I don't understand, said Jisoo. You protect a species that could kill you. You risk your life for animals that give you nothing in return. They give us everything, said Hannah. They make our world whole. Every species has a place, a purpose, including humans. Lightning flashed outside, lighting up the cave for a moment. Bak's ears perked up at a sound outside. Someone's coming, whispered Hannah. They heard footsteps in the mud. One of the poachers was close. Bak's body tensed, ready to protect them. The poacher appeared at the cave entrance, his gun in his hands. When he saw Bak, he froze. The tiger let out a low growl that seemed to shake the ground. The man raised his gun, but his hands were shaking. No, shouted Hannah, jumping up. What happened next changed Jisoo forever. Bak did not attack the man. Instead, the tiger moved to stand in front of Hannah, placing his body between her and the danger. He wasn't acting like a wild animal. He was making a choice to protect someone he loved. The poacher's eyes went wide with fear. He fired his gun, but the shot went wild. Then he turned and ran back into the rain. He'll bring the others now, said Hannah, her voice shaking. We need to move. Jisoo stood up. No, I can help. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small silver ball. This is an emergency beacon. It doesn't need the normal networks to work. It sends a signal directly to my ship. Will your people help us? Asked Hannah. Jisoo looked at Bak, who had returned to guarding the cave entrance. I don't know. But I know what I've seen here today. And I can't let them treat you like animals anymore. She pressed the beacon, and it glowed with a soft blue light. Jisoo's ship arrived within minutes of her activating the beacon. It hovered above the trees, its engines blowing the rain in all directions. A bright light shone down from its bottom, searching the forest. The poachers saw the ship and ran back to their truck. They drove away fast, their tires spinning in the mud. We're safe now, said Jisoo, stepping out of the cave. Hannah followed, with Bak walking close beside her. The ship landed in a small clearing. Its door opened, and two Nurin officers stepped out. They stared at Bak with wide eyes. Officer Jisoo, step away from the predator, one of them called. The tiger is not a threat, Jisoo replied. He protected us from human poachers. The officers looked confused. That is not possible. Wild predators do not protect other species. This one does, said Jisoo firmly. And we need to rethink everything we believe about humans. 3 days later, Jisoo stood before a screen in her ship. On it was the face of the Naren High Commander, his purple skin dark with anger. You question our classification of humans, he asked, based on one interaction with one human and one tiger. Not just one interaction, said Jisoo. I have spent weeks studying this human, Hana Park. She can communicate with apex predators in ways we thought impossible. Nonsense, said the commander. You have been among these animals too long. You are confused. I am not confused. Jisoo's voice was strong. I request a formal reassessment of human intelligence and their planet's classification. There was silence. Then the commander said, Very well. I will send Ambassador Da to evaluate your claims, but if you are wrong, you will be removed from your position. The screen went dark. Jisoo knew she had taken a big risk. Ambassador Da was the chief scientist of the Naren. He didn't like being challenged. 1 week later, a large Naren ship landed at the sanctuary. Ambassador Da stepped out, followed by 6 guards and 3 scientists. He was taller than other Naren, with dark lines on his face showing his high rank. Officer Jisoo, he said coldly, show me this human who has confused you so. Jisoo led them to Hana's office. Hana stood up when they entered, her face calm but serious. This is Hana Park, said Jisoo. She runs this sanctuary for endangered tigers. Ambassador Da looked at Hana with narrowed eyes. So, you are the human who thinks she can talk to animals. I don't talk to them like I'm talking to you, said Hana. I understand them, and they understand me. Impossible, said Da. Lower species cannot understand complex concepts. They react only to training and instinct. Maybe you should see for yourself before deciding, suggested Hana. Day smiled, but it wasn't friendly. Yes, I want a demonstration. Show me this special bond you have with dangerous predators. I will, said Hana. Tomorrow morning. Buck needs rest after what happened in the mountains. Fine, said Da. Tomorrow. But I warn you, human, if this is a trick, your species will suffer for it. After the Naren left, Jisoo stayed behind with Hana. He doesn't want to see the truth, said Jisoo. He's already decided you're wrong. Then we'll have to show him something he can't ignore, said Hana. Be careful, warned Jisoo. Ambassador Da is powerful and proud. He doesn't like being proven wrong. Hana looked out the window at the tiger enclosures. Naren aren't the only ones with pride. If they want to see what humans are capable of, I'll show them. That night, Ambassador Da met with his scientists on their ship. This is a waste of time, he said. Humans are clearly pre-sentient animals. They have no special abilities. But Jisoo's reports show unusual brain patterns when the human interacts with tigers, said one scientist. Officer Jisoo has been compromised, said Da. She has forgotten that humans are just clever animals. Tomorrow's demonstration will prove it. He took out a small device from his pocket. And if the demonstration doesn't go as planned, this will ensure we see the true nature of these Earth predators. The scientists looked worried. What is that device, Ambassador? Insurance, said Da with a cold smile. Just insurance. The morning sun shone bright over the sanctuary. Hana had prepared a large open area for the demonstration. Wooden benches sat on one side for the Naren to watch. Ambassador Da arrived with his scientists and guards. They sat down, their faces showing no emotion. Jisoo stood nearby, looking worried. Let us begin, said Da. Show us this special ability you claim to have. Hana nodded and walked to the center of the area. I will work with 3 different tigers today. First, the young female named Sun. A worker opened a gate and a young tiger walked out. She moved carefully, looking around at the strange purple visitors. Sun is 2 years old, explained Hana. She was born here at the sanctuary. Hana held out her hand. The tiger came to her and rubbed against her leg. Then Hannah led her through a series of movements, jumping over low barriers, walking on raised platforms, and sitting on command. Basic training, said Da, looking bored. Any animal can be trained with enough food rewards. I'm not using food, said Hannah. I'm using trust and understanding. Next came an older male tiger named Moon. He was bigger than Sun, with a torn ear from an old fight. Moon performed more complex behaviors, including walking backward and placing his paws gently on Hannah's shoulders. The Naren scientists took notes, but Day still looked unimpressed. Now, said Hannah, I will work with Buck. A hush fell over the area as the gate opened again. Buck stepped out, his orange and black coat shining in the sun. He was much larger than the other tigers, his muscles powerful under his fur. Buck walked straight to Hannah and stood beside her, looking at the Naren with steady golden eyes. Impressive specimen, said one scientist. I raised Buck from a small cub, said Hannah. Our bond is different from the others. It's deeper. She put her hand on Buck's head, and the big tiger closed his eyes for a moment. Then Ambassador Day did something unexpected. He reached into his pocket and took out the small device he had shown his scientists the night before. Let's see how strong this bond really is, he said, and pressed a button on the device. A high sound filled the air, too high for human ears, but painful for tigers. Buck's eyes went wide. He shook his head and let out a low growl. What are you doing? Jisoo cried out. Testing her control, said Dai with a cold smile. If she truly has a bond with this animal, let's see if it holds when the animal is in pain. Bake began pacing, his tail lashing. The sound from the device was driving him into a rage. The other tigers in nearby enclosures also began roaring and pacing. Stop it, shouted Hannah. You're hurting them. Day turned up the power on the device. If you can control this beast, now is the time to prove it. Otherwise, we will see the true nature of these predators you claim to understand. Bake let out a roar that shook the ground. His eyes were wild with pain. The Naren guards raised their weapons. Don't shoot him. Hannah stepped between the guards and Bake. This isn't his fault. Then she did something that made the Naren scientists gasp. She turned her back on the guards and walked straight toward the agitated tiger. Hannah, no, called Jisoo. He's not himself. But Hannah kept walking toward Bake. Her steps were slow and steady. Her hands were empty and open at her sides. Bake, she said softly. Look at me. Focus on me. The tiger's eyes locked on her. He was still growling, still in pain from the sound only he could hear. I know it hurts, said Hannah, but I'm here. Remember me. Remember who you are. She was now standing right in front of the massive predator. One swipe of his paw could kill her instantly. She's going to die, whispered one of the scientists. But then something amazing happened. Bake's growling stopped. His eyes, still filled with pain, focused on Hannah's face. Slowly, he lowered his head and pressed it against her chest. Hannah wrapped her arms around his neck. Turn it off, Jisoo demanded, grabbing the device from Daya's hand. She threw it to the ground and crushed it under her foot. The painful sound stopped. Bake relaxed against Hannah, who was stroking his fur and whispering to him. Impossible, muttered Da. No animal would choose connection over instinct when in pain. Hannah looked up at him, her arms still around Bake's neck. You see them as beasts to be controlled, she said. They see me as family to be trusted. Which seems more advanced to you? 3 months had passed since the demonstration. Ambassador Da had returned to the Naren High Command with Jisoo's reports and his own observations. The Naren leaders had been in meetings for weeks, arguing about what they had seen. At the sanctuary, life went on. Hannah worked with her tigers every day. Bake was fully grown now. Soon it would be time for him to return to the wild. One quiet morning, as Hannah sat beside Bake's enclosure, she saw a familiar shipland nearby. Jisoo stepped out, wearing a new uniform with bright silver markings. "You look different," said Hana with a smile. "I have been promoted," explained Jisoo. "I am now Earth Relations Officer." "That sounds important." "It is." Jisoo sat down beside Hana. "I have news from the Naren High Command." Hana's smile faded. "Are they still planning to treat us like animals?" "No." Jisoo's black eyes seemed to shine. "The High Command has changed Earth's classification. Humans are now considered a partner species." "What does that mean?" "It means we will work with humans as equals. We will share technology and knowledge. No one will be moved to preserves." Hana let out a long breath. "Because of what happened here, with Baek." Jisoo nodded. Ambassador Dae was changed by what he saw. He told the High Command that humans have something the Naren lost long ago: the ability to form true connections with other living things without technology. Jisoo reached out and touched the fence of Baek's enclosure. The big tiger walked over and sniffed her hand. He no longer seemed afraid of the alien. "The Naren believe that advanced civilization means controlling nature through technology," continued Jisoo. "But you showed us a different path, working with nature through understanding and respect." "So what happens now?" asked Hana. "The Naren High Command wants to build a research center here at the sanctuary, a place where our species can study together. They want you to lead it with me." Hana looked surprised. "Me? I'm just a tiger keeper." "You are much more than that," said Jisoo. "You changed how an entire alien civilization sees your species. That is no small thing." 2 weeks later, Hana stood at the edge of a vast forest preserve. Beside her were Jisoo and a small team of human and Naren scientists. In a large transport cage between them was Baek. "Are you sure he's ready?" asked Jisoo. "Yes," said Hana, though her eyes were sad. "He needs to be free. That's what I raised him for." Hana opened the cage door. Baek stepped out and looked around at the trees and open land. He took a few steps away, then turned back to look at Hana. "Go on," she said softly. "This is your home now." Baek walked back to her and rubbed his massive head against her side one last time. Then he turned and bounded into the forest. At the edge of the trees, he stopped and looked back. "Will you see him again?" asked Jisoo. "Maybe," said Hana. "But that's not what matters. What matters is that he can live as he was meant to live." The tiger disappeared into the forest. One of the Naren scientists turned to Hana. "How do you know they'll be all right out there?" he asked. "Because I didn't raise him to need me," Hana replied. "I raised him to be what he truly is." Jisoo nodded, finally understanding. That is true advancement. Not controlling other beings, but helping them become their best selves. As they walked back to their vehicles, a Naren ship flew overhead, landing at the new research center. Humans and aliens would work together there, learning from each other. "They called us animals," said Hana, looking up at the ship. "And you proved them wrong," replied Jisoo. "Not with weapons or technology, but with something stronger. The ability to raise a tiger with love, and then let him go." In the forest, Baek climbed a rocky hillside and looked out over his new territory. He let out a roar that echoed through the trees, not a sound of anger, but of freedom. Behind him, in the distance, humans and aliens began building a new future together, all because one woman had shown that understanding was stronger than control and love was more advanced than technology. The end.